Good morning, everybody. I would like to thank to the organizers to invite me and bring some ideas on this area of vaccine. And the issue is how to make it affordable. I incorporate their development and production. I think it's very important also to think about production to have it affordable. I have here 6 different points which I will touch. Developing world population because of the demand of vaccine, what will be, and the world vaccination update, the affordability of price, and I will bring some information on DCVMN, which is our organization called Developing Countries Vaccine Manufacturer Network. Some information challenge to meet global expectation and issues to increase vaccine production. This is the information where we can see that today the world, we have there more than almost 7 billion people, but if we have an optimal increase, then we will have by the end of 2200 more than 14 billion people. But maybe this is more realistic to have there around 9 billion people. So this will be a very large population. But the issue is that the developing countries' population there will grow much more than population in developed countries and industrialized countries. We also have here an information of the region in the world. So in Asia, there will be the biggest increase of population. And then comes here in Africa. So Asia, Africa, where developing countries are the majority, there will increase much more than Europe or North America, in comparison with this. And here you can see the trends of different age groups. There will be less group of 0 to 14 years old people, and increase aged population. And this group between 15 and 64 years of age will remain same quantity. Now, here you can see an indicator of vaccination. Vaccination taking as indicator the 3-shot, complete shot of DTP vaccine, which is one of the basic vaccines required for the children. So we have here American region, Eastern Mediterranean, and European region with good coverage. But you can see here that Southeast Asia and the African region has come short, much less than 80% of coverage, which is not good, which is not really good. And here you can see that in the world, this is 2009 data, 23.2 million infants are not immunized with the DTP, the basic vaccine, the cheapest vaccine we have today. And in the African region, Southeast region, are the most, the region where we have most unvaccinated children. Although we also have there in Western Pacific and the Eastern Mediterranean here, you can see there. And among 10.5 million children deaths in the world, 2.5 million could be avoided because we have, they died with disease preventable by vaccination. You have there pneumococcal diseases, hemophilus influenza disease, pertussis, tetanus, measles, which is very cheap vaccine, and rotavirus vaccine. So 2.5 million children deaths could be avoidable. And this is the information where we show that whenever a vaccine, this is hepatitis B vaccine, whenever a vaccine is taken by the countries and used by the countries, here we have 177 different countries in, belonging to World Health Organization. They came and they vaccinate with the 3 shots, I think. Yes, hepatitis 3 shots. But the coverage is about 70%. It's still not there, but it came very well. An increase of incorporation of this vaccine in different countries, starting in 1991, 1992. Why? Because we had many different manufacturers coming with this vaccine. And then we have here increase of incorporation in different countries of the world. But, and here you can see the price. Sorry, it's very clear here, but you can see here around $2.5 dose there. And then came down to less than $0.5 dose. This because of increased number of manufacturers, and of course the competition among them made possible the reduction of vaccine price and the affordability of vaccine. So, DCVMN, we organized this organization, non-profit organization, in November 2000, which also coincided with the formation of Gavi. We have there 4 different categories of members. Full members, those which are WHO pre-qualified, and in countries, located in countries with a fully functional national regulatory authority. Currently, we have 10 members which are WHO pre-qualified and supplying vaccine through UNICEF, Power Relevant Fund, and WHO. And the prospective full members are vaccine manufacturers located in countries with a fully functional national regulatory authorities working towards WHO pre-qualification. We have associate members, which are members, do not have fully functional national regulatory authority in their countries, but have the viability to supply to United Nations agents. And the resource members are vaccinology institutions committed to become viable and support our institution. Our mission is to provide quality vaccine at an affordable price to the developing world, and also those vaccines which are of limited interest to big pharma. And of course, we are working hard to obtain recognition that developing countries' vaccine manufacturers have an essential role in assuring availability of vaccine to immunize every child. And we have increased participation in the later years in the international vaccine market, especially through UNICEF, Gavi, PAHO, Vaccine Revolving Fund. Here are the 27 and the name of 27 different members and the Resource Institute. And here we have the manufacturers and which are pre-qualified by WHO, and the different vaccines they provide to the United Nations agencies. As I said, there are 10 different manufacturers. We are there. We provide yellow fever vaccine and polysaccharide meningococcal A and C vaccine. So, in this slide, I show some information on the demand, vaccine demand, and DCVMN capacity on traditional vaccine. We have seen later years that the demand of vaccine has increased a lot because of Gavi. Gavi working, providing vaccine to the poor countries are very, very important. They are playing very, very important role in this area. But emergent and the other developing countries also is increasing their vaccination program. It brings demand to the international agencies such as UNICEF. Just to give you an example, the demand of DTP, hepatitis B, Hib, pentavalent vaccine has increased from only 61 million in 2008 to 100 million in 2009 in 1 year because of Gavi funding. In 2008, UNICEF supplied vaccine. The vaccine supplied by UNICEF reached 56% of the world's children, and it was $633 million. The capacity of DCVMN laboratory, 64% of this traditional vaccine supply to United Nations agencies like UNICEF, PAHO, Revolving Fund, even WHO, is met by DCVMN. We already provide 64% of vaccine for this traditional vaccine. And Gavi and hepatitis B, Hib, DCVMN has supplied 42%. And PAHO Revolving Fund, we provide already 70% of the vaccine they require. But although the lot of vaccine we provide, the value we are receiving from the vaccine, the value of vaccine we provide is very low because of a very low price we provide compared to the other vaccine provided by big pharma. Okay, we have several challenges, of course, in this area, development and production. We must meet the global demand of underutilized vaccine and unmet vaccine. And to do so, we must increase our capacity of production and innovation. And of course, there are many, we must have a long-term perspective to meet this global health needs and competitiveness. Regulatory issue, we heard in these past 3 days several presenters saying about the regulatory issues, and we also think that this is in a big area where we must pay attention, a lot of attention. The regulatory issue is increasing and becoming very stringent requirements, and to have compliance on this new stringent requirement, we need to do a big investment. And in these different areas, so in the facility, the validation, the production process, equipment, qualified personnel, suppliers, and I'm not going through because we heard a lot on this. But we also have to be prepared to have or to look for WHO pre-qualification, which is not easy because we must have all of the country producing vaccine must have functioning local regulatory authority with the 5 major functions considered by WHO. And they enforce the same stringent requirements established by international regulatory authority like FDA, EMEA. They are the same. It's not because it's located in developing country that is easier to get the same requirement, the same stringent requirements. And to have access to technology, new product development. Again, I am not going to take much time on this because we heard already several presentations on this, that it requires high investment, long period of maturation, and that vaccine manufacturing has a high fixed cost. And we must have a large scale of production in order to reduce our cost of production and make the vaccine affordable. It means large scale production, and I think also it is important to think about new technology of production. New technology of production with very high yield of production, which can bring the price to the reduce, could bring the price down and reduce cost of production. And it is very important to say that increased demand of vaccine does not necessarily imply the need of greater number of manufacturers. Just remember the market size is the same. You want, there will be only one market there. And we think that we must look for a partnership, establish a technology transfer agreement, and we must have our own product development activity there. The financing new facility in our position, the developing countries, I think it's not the same in developed countries, it's different. Because we really have a limited access to funds for investment. no? And we have high cost of financial resource. And some of other questions we are looking for, the fiscal incentive, and a establishment of long-term demand, a policy that establish a long-term demand so that new production capacity is not an uncertain investment. And sometimes the constraint of the government budget turns this national vaccine procurement unstable. Long-term perspective, I already said several times here, the policymaker and the industry must have a long-term perspective with a sustainable policy, and that the vaccine manufacturing is not a commodity industry. Vaccine industry must avoid shortages and be socially committed. This is a very important point which we think that we must have always in our mind. Then we come to the last slide here, summing up and show all the issues I have shown. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Homma, for that very interesting presentation. And we have time for questions now. I think the creation of the Developing Countries Vaccine Manufacturers Network, which you chair, is a very important and valuable development. Could you say a little bit about how it relates to the regulators that are, I guess, established because they've been around for a very long time in this country, in Europe, specifically FDA and EMEA? Do they tend to go there for approvals or for various other kinds of interactions? Just tell us about that.
One mission we have there, not mission, but the objective is to bring all the different national regulatory authorities and provide to the network their insights or their vision and their requirements so that we could prepare ourselves much better. This interaction is becoming more and more frequent and has helped us to understand the vision they have on different aspects. Because sometimes the requirement they have there is possible to make interpretation, and depending on the inspector, we found that sometimes one inspector is much more stringent, much more complicated, much more, but the other we can explain, we can make some understandable discussion and have a way to proceed this. And this interaction is making a much more, I wouldn't say easy, but not so complicated.
Good. Well, that's very good.
Yeah.
Are there questions in the audience or comments for Dr. Homma on his presentation?
Dr. Akira, one thing you were talking about increase in the capacities in emerging markets. As of now, if you just see example of hepatitis B vaccine capacities in emerging world, approximately just like India had 300 to 400 million doses capacity, and the requirement was most probably around 5 to 10 million doses. Do you require that manufacturers should look at increasing the capacities or establishing new capacities? What's going to be the approach in emerging markets?
Sorry. In order to be able to provide vaccine through the United Nations agents like UNICEF, Power Revival Fund, and even WHO, you must be pre-qualified. Pre-qualification, this certificate, I would say, is like, you can say, an approval from WHO that you have all GMP stuff, all GLP stuff, everything, all the documentation regarding the quality of vaccine, the consistent production, there, you must have. More than that, you must have your regulatory authority, the national regulatory authority, also approved by WHO. And this, the national regulatory authority must make all the job, no? Homework there. Must approve your facility, must approve your product, must license your product, must make post-marketing, everything. The authority, national regulatory authority, okay? So there, if you have all this set up, then WHO comes and make inspection. It's not one-shot inspection. It comes once, twice, 3 times, and it takes time, okay? And whenever you are approved, then you are prepared to supply. But see, in general, it's a bid, an international bid. You go to UNICEF, but there we have, I showed different laboratories providing same product. You must compete there in a bid, international bid. Then you are ready to do business. I hope I understood your question.
Who is responsible for driving down the cost? Who is responsible for driving down the cost of vaccine in WHO bidding, UNICEF bidding?
It's international bid. If you have quality, if you have price, and if you show your capacity to make this supply, then you have business. Okay? It's not that the price is established already. No. It's competitive way.
Another question?
Thank you. Dr. Homma, I'm George Adams from EMD Millipore. Recently, WHO awarded the Chinese regulatory authorities the status of meeting the compliance requirements. What impact do you expect the Chinese manufacturers to have on increasing the supply of vaccines to meet WHO needs?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite follow your question. What is WHO?
What impact do you expect the Chinese manufacturers to have on adding to the supply to meet the needs of the vaccine demand now that they're meeting the WHO guidelines?
Well, the issue, if you understood well your question, the issue is that WHO, they don't come and say, you go and produce this. No, it's not the way. They show they really organize meeting and show the existing gap and so on, and motivate different manufacturers to come with the product. But they don't guarantee anything. They don't guarantee anything. This is a very difficult task, and decision to go ahead. So the manufacturer must have the technology, correct technology, must have let's say, a facility that will provide enough and quantity of vaccine required and quality of vaccine required to go to the bid. It is not only because you have all GMP there that is ready. No, you must go to the bid. There you come and then compete with the other. When you have only one producer for one product, the price always is very high. You know, as we have today, we have 2 producers for HPV vaccine, for example. The price is starting to come down already. Start coming down because technology has improved, and I think the yield is also better. And anyway, when HPV first came to the market, I think here in the United States, you had at $140 a dose, something like this, a dose. There in Brazil, we had it at $250 a dose, no? But now it's coming down. And whenever, if in next year or some years, a new producer come into the market with a certified product and a fourth manufacturer, fifth manufacturer, the price will come down because of competition. You know, there will be an equilibrium between demand and offer. This, I think, is the key question on the affordability. You must have an equilibrium between offer and demand. Whenever you have a big demand, but very one producer then which has not condition to provide all demand, the price will be always high.